Hey there, and welcome to continuing with terrain tiles in the style of Spacehulk for the moment. And we'll be doing the grass sides etc. later, but at the moment just dealing with how the frames work. And so far I've made like nine square long pieces, about 20-30 odd 3 square pieces, a dozen 2 square pieces, about another 20 or 30 single squares plus room tiles. So there's been a lot of plastic sticking, and yes, admittedly, a lot of this work was done a long time ago, so I've only actually had to deal with about a dozen 2 square pieces and the 30 odd single squares. So it's actually been pretty easy for me. It does take a lot of time, I will confess, but if you're strapped for cash and you want nice looking scenery and this takes appeal, or you just fancy the project, you don't have to make as many pieces I've done. I've made like enough pieces to make pretty much any size Spacehulk map there is in existence, because yeah, daft like that. But the next step is starting to fill in all the irritating little gaps. So what you need for that is you need one of your bits. As you can see here, I've got just a single square, an allspike, and Greenstuff, which I'm just massaging in my fingertips. The first technique then is just using a tiny amount, literally this kind of amount, millimeters across, and just get it, run it into the gap. Now, can't really recommend this because it's epoxy, but dip your finger in water, or in my case, lick your finger. This then gives you your lubricant, so that the green stuff will no longer stick to you, it will instead stay stuck where it is. And then you just use that and you smear it away. Now the reason you've got your allspike is for squidge over, and then you're just going to tuck that in, just to tuck the green stuff right into the corner. There you go. This is method number 1. I'm going to go and do some more of these, and I'll be back with you in a mo for the next method. So method number 2. Sometimes you end up with this situation where you can see I've started to run green stuff, but what you've got is significant overlap along this edge here. So first of all, make a sausage of green stuff. And what you want to try and do with that is taper it down so that one end is narrower than the other, because the closest end is pretty much flush. And then just going to take that, squidge it on, and again, licking finger here to run that along that whole edge. Now, the pig here is getting everything flush. It's also the trick. Now you see I've got green stuff there. This is the other time. Do not try and remove that with your fingers. You'll just end up squidging it into the mesh, and you don't want that to happen. Get your allspike. Pick it out like so. Now the other thing I have here is just a piece of, this is powderite, which I just happen to have sculling around, and again, dip it in water, or if you're not fussed about sticking your tongue on it, use your tongue. And then you're going to just use that, and the reason you're just trying to lubricate that is because you don't want to see green stuff sticking to it. That's exactly what you don't want to happen. But what that does is it brings it flush. So then, grabbing the sharp craft knife, which I've just hidden from myself because I'm really clever. This I am dipping water, because if you stick that on your tongue, when you cut your tongue off, you get what you deserve. I'm also actually going to use the water so I'm just using the water that I have to hand, which is my paint water, because I'm lazy. I'm sorry, the tings are my awful light setup at the moment, because I haven't yet switched over to batteries. And what you just want to do, you see, is you just want to cut this. It's not perfect by any means because I'm trying to do this on camera. So I'm sat behind the camera right now and I'm looking past the camera and reaching in. Normally I would be sat with like my face right next to it. But what you can see, if I bring that up, is it's given a flush edge and a flush top edge. And just with a bit of a touch in with a finger. So if I hold this against this now, you see there's not really a gap. I'm going to give it a bit of a squidge just at this end, just to drag it through. Keep it clean, like a washing machine. So what we have now is a pretty, or a comparatively neat corner, much better than it was. And the hard part with these things is if you don't have flush corners, you end up folding on the binding process, folding around, and then you end up with gaps between your tiles. So much better to just clean them up now with the Greenstuff. And then onwards, and technique number 3 wards, and pretty much between these 3 you should have all of the techniques you need. Now sometimes you see, because, well, I was running a plastic card and I don't like to be wasteful, so sometimes you end up with bits like this where you see they don't quite mesh up and there's a gap and there's a gap and then there's a blobby and there's a and it looks grim and disgusting and not right. So again, taking blob of Greenstuff, apply. You'll notice also when I'm doing this, I'm always applying to the from the outside edge towards the inside edge, because it's applying some lubricant to thumb, because it's much easier to make a complete mess and totally bodge it. So what we're trying to do is cover the whole area with Greenstuff like so, and then just, now what tends to be the problem at these points is that you push too hard here, so you need to just try and keep the smear coming straight along, and you end up with something like this. And again, remember, this is for some kind of Spacehulk, not for a perfect Star Trek style spaceship, so a bit of warping and a bit of stuff that looks like it could be welding, where welding repairs have been done, or cutting's been done, like a panel's been cut out and then reinserted for some reason or what have you, that's fine. So this is a quick one just about these things, and obviously spend an awful lot of time actually doing them, trying to get through hundreds of pieces right now. Also, do be lazy. So I suppose one last thing. I say one last thing and then I think of 2 last things. But one last thing is, once you've gotten lazy, don't worry about it. To be honest with you, once you've assembled, painted, and then you've chucked the board down, nobody's going to notice. Also, before binding, but after this, if you wish to, this would be the time to magnetise, because you would want to insert magnets into the foam. But being lazy, you can just do this. Stick, press, drag, that's your gap filled. Now, I've just done it across the corner, but this corner had a bit of a jut, say a jut, like a gap where I cut the bit of plastic too short. And so when it comes to these, just wanna work it in. You see, I'm just using fingers and getting you out of focus so you can't see what the hell it is I'm doing, which is not what's intended, but it is what happens, because concentrating too much on the wrong thing or the right thing, depending on your point of view. So, having done this, just want to squidge it in flat. Mostly, just want to make it so that that corner is pretty as flush as possible. It's not quite flush. Grab another little blob, because sometimes what you end up doing is you end up filling in to where the mesh is, rather than building your corner piece up. So now you can see it's starting to take shape, but it's got a bit of overlap. When you're looking as well, look from the top down, look from the side, and you can see, and also look from the other side. Just so you can see that the corner is roughly flush and that you don't have extruding sticky outy bits or like a sudden dip inwards, because after this is going to be binding, and the binding process gives you something which looks roughly like, sorry, that was me reaching across the room so I could just grab one without having to this, and you can see it cleans up all your edges, it makes everything look neat. It gives you a slight rim on the back which you're going to use for trapping glue. Also adds a bit of structural reinforcement as you bind, or you use the mesh edge and the plastic edge and the bottom edge of paper, avoiding getting super glue because we're using super glue on the foam because it'll melt the foam. But I'm going too far into that. I will show you binding next time, and well, I'll show you the process as well. But for now, I hope this has been some interest use to you, and if you're doing any modelling stuff, that you're getting all your filling done really easily, or even better, doing perfect cutting so you don't have to bother with filling, because filling is irritating and frustrating. It just takes time. But do remember as well that filling is the difference between something being highly polished and something not. So thank you for watching. Have a good one and take care. Bye bye.